I'm trying to move up. Okay. Good morning, everybody. So we're still talking about Women's History Month. So we're going to start off with a do now. So name a woman that you learned about so far during Women's History Month and one thing you learned about her. Okay, you could put your answers in the chat. Remember, you should be sharing one thing you learned, not just saying their name. Sabia, would you like to share your answer? Awesome. Would anyone else like to share their answer? Helen?
I learned about Helen Keller, and she was the first blind and deaf woman to go to college.
Wow, great job. All right, would one more person like to share? Hannah?
I learned about Jill Biden. Even though she is the first lady, she is a teacher.
Yes, awesome job. Okay, let's get started. I'm just trying to get rid of the chat to go away. All right, there we go. All right. Let's get started on the women we're going to learn about today. All right, so this week we'll be focused on two influential women in our country, Ruth Bader Gibson and Claire Barton. Can someone read to me what influential means? Purvi?
Influential. Having great influence on someone or something.
Awesome. That's correct. Okay. All right, so today we'll understand what the American Cross is and how Claire Barton influenced our future country. So this is a picture of Claire Barton. So this is a quote that Claire Barton used to say. The door that nobody else will go in at seems always to swing open widely for me. So her occupation is a nurse. She was born December 25th, 1821 in North Oxford, Massachusetts. She died April 12th, 1912, and she's best known for being the founder of the American Red Cross. Can someone please read this first paragraph for me? Stephen?
Claire founded the American Red Cross, then spent her time after the Civil War helping to track down missing soldier.
Okay, who would like to read the next one? Oops. Richard?
Yeah.
Could you read this next one for me, please?
Lisa to community after to help teach her Indian skins to other men and women.
Okay, great job. So now we're going to read more about Claire.
Clara and Davy, the true story of the young Claire Barton, founder of the American Red Cross. Written and illustrated by Patricia Polacco. On a cold, blustery morning in North Oxford, Massachusetts, a blizzard was threatening and bearing down hard. It was Christmas Day, 1821. Mama was expecting her 5th child. 10 years had passed since her last baby. Mama's health was fragile. A very special Christmas present was delivered later that day. The family gathered around their mother's bed to welcome a new baby girl. The infant was swaddled and placed next to her mother. "I'm calling her Clarissa," Mama whispered weakly, then handed the baby to Dolly, her oldest daughter. Clarissa's other sister, Sally, and her big brother, Stephen, took turns holding her. But it was Davy, the youngest brother, who had been long awaiting her arrival. He was so pleased to have a new baby sister. He rocked her in his arms. Her tiny fingers wrapped around one of his, and he laughed out loud with pure joy of it. That's Clara and Davy.
Oops. Alright, let's try to find where we left off. Sorry, guys. Okay.
Who had been long awaiting her arrival. He was so pleased to have a new baby sister. He rocked her in his arms. Her tiny fingers wrapped around one of his, and he laughed out loud with pure joy of it. That's some grip. I bet she'll be breaking horses for Pa before we know it, Davy crowed. But she looks more like a Clara than a Clarissa, he announced. From that day on, that's what everybody called her, Clara. As the days passed, Mama grew weak from illness. Soon, all of the mothering of that baby was left to Dolly. But Davy adored that little girl, and she worshipped him. Wherever he went, she was always with him. By that next winter, he taught Clara to sit bareback on a horse almost before she could walk. And when she did learn to walk, she hit the ground running. Davy taught Clara to climb trees, chase fireflies, jump down furrows, and throw clods of earth. She could charge up hills as steep as a cow's face and push through bundles of standing wheat.
Oh no. Sorry, I keep clicking, trying to let people in.
She could charge up hills as steep as a cow's face and push through bundles of standing wheat. Davy was always by her side. What Clara loved most was when she and Davy would swing together from the giant oak in a field of wildflowers right next to the creek bank. "Higher, Davy," Clara squealed. "If we go any higher, we'll punch through those clouds, and I'll have to break off a piece of the moon for you," Davy laughed. When Clara ran through the wildflowers, she tried to smell each and every one of them. She and Davy always gathered an armful to take to the house. On their way, they stopped at the barn. Clara helped Davy feed the animals and do chores. Clara took to nature and animals like a flower takes to sun. She had a special way with critters and found joy in the beauty that sprang from the soil. These all came easy to Clara, but whenever Clara talked, it was a struggle. Her words just didn't come out right. Horse was horth, and snapdragons was snapdragons. One day, when Davy was storing kraut in the fruit cellar, he found Clara in the darkest corner facing the wall. "Clara, why are you down here all by yourself in the dark?" Davy asked as he led her back up the stairs to the kitchen. "Dolly put me up here. She says I have to stay in the basement," Clara sobbed. As Davy pulled Clara through the kitchen, Dolly looked cross. "You take that child right back down those stairs. She's being punished," Dolly scolded. "For what?" Davy protested. "She doesn't want to talk right. She's lazy. She refuses to pronounce her words properly." Davy hugged Clara. "Come with me. I have something to show you in the barn." Clara cried all the way to the barn. "I'm trying real hard to talk right, Davy, but my tongue just won't do what Dolly wants it to," Clara sputtered. Davy led her to one of the mangers. He parted the straw. That's when Clara saw the newborn puppy. She wiped her eyes. "Where's its mama?" "Ran away," Davy answered. "But this little pup is a sickly runt. If somebody doesn't tend to her, she won't live too much longer," Davy whispered. "I'll take care of her," Clara promised. "She's as cute as a little Button." "That's what I'll call her. Button," Clara exclaimed. Button flourished under Clara's care. She loved that dog more and more each day. But even the happiness that Button brought, ridicule of Clara's lisp caused her to withdraw. She grew shy and afraid of most people. But whenever Dolly brought up the subject of Clara going to school, Clara ran and hid in the barn.
So why do you guys think that Clara did not want to go to school? Purvi?
Didn't want to go to school because her sister punished her for not talking right and she thinks people will make fun of her.
Yes, that's right. All right, let's continue.
The more time Clara spent in the barn with Button, the more attached she had become to all the animals. She watched them for hours and studied their ways. She learned everything about them. I think she was curious. But it was sick creatures that got Clara's special attention. She seemed to have healing in her hands. When Clara was helping animals, her heart sang. She felt brave and confident with critters. It didn't matter to the animals how Clara talked. At Dolly's insistence, Clara's worst nightmare came true. She was sent to school, where she was so timid she barely spoke. When she dared to talk, everybody laughed at her. In the schoolyard, the other girls surrounded Clara and mocked her. "Why can't you talk right?" one of them teased. "Sounds like the hissing of a snake," another one chimed in. "That's snake, not snake," one of them mocked. They all laughed. Clara picked up a clod of earth and hurled it at them. Then she ran for home as fast as she could. Davy found Clara in the barn sobbing. "Everybody made fun of me, Davy. Please don't make me go back there ever again," Clara pleaded. "Tonight I'll talk to Pa. We will teach you right here at home. Nobody will ever hurt you that way again," Davy reassured her. Davy was true to his word. He convinced Pa to let Clara be schooled at home. The whole family helped her. Stephen taught Clara how to figure numbers. Sally and Dolly helped Clara become a fine reader. Davy taught Clara to read maps and gave her lessons of nature's wonders. Soon Clara could add, subtract, multiply, and divide in any combination of numbers. She read just about every book in Pa's shelves. She and Davy enjoyed special trips into the village to borrow books about nature and animals from the library. They always made their way home through the woods and fields filled with wildflowers. Thanks to Davy's lessons, Clara knew all the flowers by name. Davy marveled at his sister's ways. Wild squirrels and sparrows greeted Clara. No animal feared her. She'd lean over and whisper sweet words to the daisies and the asters. If Clara was nearby, they seemed to brighten and stand taller. When gathered together in the nosegay bouquet, Clara called the flowers her tussy mussies. Winter came, and so did the cold. That didn't stop Clara's love for the outdoors. One morning, a group of boys from the schoolhouse knocked at Clara's kitchen door. "We miss you at school, Clara," one of the boys announced. "We ain't never seen anyone throw a clod of earth as far as you can," another added. "And you can run as fast as the wind blows," a third boy chimed in. To Clara, they all seemed to be talking together. "Clara, can you come skating and sledding with us?" Clara tried to answer, but wasn't fast enough. Dolly hissed, "It's not proper. Respectable girls don't go caravanting around the countryside with wild hooligans." But before Dolly could protest any further, Claire was out the door. Davy followed right behind her. For the first time in months, Claire was laughing and having fun with the other children. When one of the boys twisted his ankle and smacked down in the ice, Clara knew just what to do. She rubbed hard on his bruised skin. "Is it broken?" the boy asked. "Nope, good as new," Clara answered. Like Davy, the boys saw that Clara had healing hands. They were her best friends from that day on. Clara's reputation about her healing hands and her special way with critters spread throughout the countryside. Neighbors called on Clara to treat their farm animals. She started borrowing medical books from the library. It got to be that Claire could deliver foals, treat cows, and mend broken sheep bones. Her green thumb was almost as renowned as her ability to treat and heal living creatures. Every spring, Claire's flower garden was the envy of the village. Around this time, Dolly was struck down by a mysterious illness that confined her to her room. Even though Dolly had been mean to Clara, seeing Dolly so sick was like losing her second mother. Dolly's illness made Clara even more determined to study the library's medical books so that she could find cures for all kinds of sicknesses.
Okay, so we're going to stop there. So what are some things about Clara did you guys learn from reading the story? Helen?
Is that you can heal anyone just by rubbing it, and trying to study more about different types of illnesses.
Yes. So Clara was a very helpful person, and she was always looking out for others. All right, so let's review some more about Clara. Could someone read the first paragraph for me? Let's see. Dallas, could you read the first paragraph, please?
Clara Barton was working in the U.S. Patient Office in Washington, D.C. when the Civil War began. Like many women, she helped collect bandages and other much-needed supplies. But she soon realized that she could best support the troops by going in person to the battlefield. Throughout many major battles of the war, she nursed, comforted, and cooked for the wounded, earning the nickname the Angel of the Battlefield.
Battlefield, yes. So Clara was a nurse during the war, and she helped many people. All right, I'll read the next paragraph. When her service to the Union soldiers was complete, Barton traveled to Europe. There became aware of Geneva's Switzerland-based Red Cross, which called for international agreements to protect the sick and wounded during the war, and for the formation of natural societies to give aid voluntarily on a neutral basis. So Claire Barton founded the American Red Cross. All right. Can someone read this third paragraph for me? Let's see. Hannah?
Upon her return home, Barton was determined that the United States should participate in the Global Red Cross Network.
Working with influential friends and contacts such as Frederick Douglass, she founded the American Red Cross in 1881. Barton served as president of the organization until 1904, when she
Resigned.
at age 83.
Okay, so she was in the American Red Cross until she was 83 years old, and Frederick Douglass also helped her with the Red Cross. So Claire Barton died on April 12, 1912, at her home in Glen Echo, Maryland. Her legacy to the nation, service to humanity, is reflected in the services provided daily by the employees and volunteers of the American Red Cross. Okay, so thank you everybody for being great listeners and participating. I'm going to make Miss Quinabella the host again so she can review your homework.
Okay, Casey, I need you sitting up and paying attention. You can't be laying down in bed. That's not a good learning space.
Okay, you should be the host now, right?
Yep, I am.
Okay, thank
So,
you.